Tired of all the troubles she faced in her hometown, Michele decided to go somewhere else to start a new life, but did this without informing anyone, which made everyone, especially her mom, paranoid, and she started looking for her missing daughter. Now, did she really die, or was she someplace else? Let's look at the story of Michele Whitaker. Michele Whitaker was born on August 16, 1969.
A Central Florida family still searches for answers about what happened to their daughter almost a decade after her disappearance.
Growing up, she was part of a lively household with 4 siblings. The bond she shared with her family was incredibly strong, and they were always there for each other. According to Michele's mom, Laura Andrews, Michele used to be an incredibly joyful child. However, everything changed when they relocated to Gastonia, North Carolina, when Michele was just 15 years old. Michele was known for having a heart as vast as the ocean, always seeking to win over the hearts of those around her. As Michele entered her teenage years, a shift occurred in her relationship with her mom. They began to clash. Michele felt that her mom's strictness was suffocating, leading her to rebel against her rules. Michele was at a crossroads, contemplating a potential future in the Navy. However, fate had a different plan in store for her. As she interacted with her recruiter, something unexpected happened. Love blossomed between them, altering the course of Michele's life. According to Laura, he seemed to be about 6 to 8 years older. Once Michele had completed high school, she embarked on a new chapter of her life by tying the knot with a man she believed to be her soulmate. However, their journey as a married couple turned out to be shorter than expected, as their union unfortunately dissolved in less than a year. According to Laura, the marriage was absolutely terrible, and she strongly advised Michele to leave, which she eventually did. Following her divorce, the family made a fresh start and decided to settle down in the charming city of Spartanburg, South Carolina. At the age of 30, Michele found herself facing numerous challenges and obstacles. She tirelessly juggled her role as a part-time waitress, barely scraping by to make ends meet. One evening, after a long day at work, Michele's path crossed with a charming stranger named David. To her surprise, he kindly extended an offer to give her a ride home. In a horrifying incident, David subjected Michele to a brutal assault, causing severe injuries and leaving her face badly bruised. A year later, he found himself in handcuffs, facing the consequences of his actions. With a heavy heart, he admitted his guilt, accepting responsibility for the charges of assault and battery. Imagine this: he found himself facing a daunting reality as the judge declared his fate, a staggering 8 years behind bars. No matter what Michele tried, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was constantly in disarray. She led a nomadic lifestyle, hopping between her parents' places, crashing at her friends' houses, and occasionally finding herself dozing off in her car. Just before Michele vanished, she found herself in a bit of trouble when she was arrested for driving under the influence. She successfully served her time in jail. Back on August 5, 2002, Michele found herself caught up in a heated argument with her mom. Laura was left in a state of uncertainty about Michele's whereabouts. However, a few days later, her phone rang, and to her surprise, it was the man who had been hosting Michele. He mentioned that it had been a while since he last laid eyes on Michele. Laura's worry had intensified, causing her to feel increasingly concerned. After reaching out to the police, she was met with disappointment. They informed her that Michele was considered an adult, which limited their ability to take immediate action. Alan Woods from the esteemed Spartanburg Sheriff's Office. He was aware of Michele's ever-changing lifestyle and reassured Laura that Michele would probably show up soon. Back in the summer of 2002, something mysterious happened. On August 21st, to be exact, an official missing persons report was filed. It had been a solid 2 weeks since anyone in Michele's life had caught a glimpse or heard a peep from her. Michele's bank records were requested by the police, but they revealed no suspicious activity. Michele's ex-husband was interviewed by authorities, but he was quickly eliminated as a suspect. They interviewed members of her family, her co-workers, and others she was known to socialize with. The police did find out that on August 16, 2002, Doug Gilmore was the last person to see Michele alive. Doug claimed they met at a pool hall, spent a few hours there, and then took off on Doug's motorbike to explore the neighborhood. The following morning, Doug left Michele at a truck stop. Michele's wish to visit Myrtle Beach was mentioned by Doug to the authorities. Doug passed a polygraph exam but still can't explain where he left Michele. Michelle's loved ones made a missing poster to help find her. At the truck stop, they disseminated the posters in the hopes that someone might recognize her, but nobody had actually seen her. The investigation into Michele's disappearance stalled after roughly a year. Laura pleaded with the local news to continue covering Michele's story. About 3 years after Michele vanished, in August 2005, an anonymous letter was sent to the police. The author claimed they possessed a map showing exactly where Michele's body was buried. Michele was supposedly located in the vicinity of several thick pines and the pond's edge. The cops spent 2 days combing the area but came up empty. DNA testing proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the letter had been authored by a female. The Michele family found out about the letter via the police. They felt betrayed that someone would make anything like that to give them false hope. Another incident garnered media attention in October 2005. A guy called Jonathan Vick was taken into custody for the rape and murder of beauty parlor owner Dana Satterfield. Dana was strangled and hung from a water tank in her salon. A strap from a duffel bag had been used to suffocate her. Michele had not been seen for roughly 12 miles, and Jonathan was suspected since he was said to have frequented the diner where she worked. Since Jonathan's mother, Marianne Vick, was a client of Dana's at the salon, he felt a certain kinship with her. As a waitress at a Waffle House, Jonathan was a prime suspect in the disappearance of his ex-girlfriend, Heather Sellers. There was never any concrete evidence linking Jonathan and Michele, convicted of kidnapping, illegal sexual behavior, and murder in November 2006. The judge gave him a life sentence plus 60 years. He was never arrested or charged with anything having to do with Michele or Heather going missing. A vigil was organized for Michele by her family after it had been 5 years since she had been seen by anyone. In addition, Laura compiled photos taken of Michele at various ages during her life and posted them on a website. A woman placed a call to the police in August of 2008. The call was taken by Lieutenant William Gary, who responded. The lady who answered the phone indicated that Michele Whitaker was still alive and that she was currently residing in Oregon. Both the web page that Laura had designed and the episode of Forensic Files in which Michele's case was discussed had been viewed by the woman. Michele was the woman that she recognized as the person who was living with her pals. Because the woman wanted to demonstrate that she was telling the truth, she emailed a picture of Michele to the lieutenant. The Oregon State Police were contacted by the Spartanburg Police Department. An officer went to the residence Michele was staying in, and while the officer was there, Michele verified that her name was, in fact, Michele Whitaker. The fingerprints of Michele also verified that she was the woman who had gone missing. Michele was informed by the police that her family had been looking for her for a painfully long period of time, 6 years. The broadcast concluded with an interview with Michele, which lasted a few minutes. She stated that she was sick and tired of living her life in the manner that she was living it. Following the argument that she had with her mother, she became disoriented and eventually came to the conclusion that her family would be better off without her presence. Initially, she planned on going to Myrtle Beach in order to acquire a job that would pay her in cash rather than through formal channels. On her very last night in Spartanburg, Michele ran into Doug, and she managed to talk him into dropping her off at the truck stop. She stated that she hitched a ride and wound up in Las Vegas, California, and Oregon in the end. Michele asserted that she had used her genuine name throughout the process, and that she was unaware that her family had been looking for her. She admitted that she feels a great deal of guilt for what she did to her family, as well as for the fact that she caused the police to waste their time, money, and resources searching for her after spending so much on looking for a missing daughter, only to realize that she left home on her own accord. That would have been the saddest experience ever.